5 declassified CIA documents proving UFOs are real. The truth is out there. These days, the reality is catching up somehow, and the CIA is finally releasing some of its once classified UFO files to the public. The cases on this list contain shocking information the government has held back for many, many years. These are 5 declassified CIA documents proving UFOs are real. Number 5. The incident in East Germany, 1952. After the CIA declassified their files filled with UFO reports, one of them stood out about a sighting of a flying craft in East Germany in 1952. It read, "Flying saucers in East Germany." This unusual account originated from a Greek newspaper after an airman, Oscar Linke, testified of what he saw before a judge. Oscar was a 48-year-old man from East Germany in July of 1952. He was riding his motorcycle and heading home with his 11-year-old daughter, Gabrielle. But as they were driving, the motorcycle tires blew out. They decided to walk it off, pushing the bike with them. As twilight approached, Gabriella told her father that something was in the distance in front of them. As they neared it, Oscar leaned his bike against a tree so he could take a better look at what was in front of them. He thought initially it was a deer, but as soon as he got a few meters closer, he saw it was 2 men wearing what looked to be shiny metallic clothing. These men were looking down at something on the ground. Oscar approached them quietly, and when he was about 10 meters away, he noticed an object that looked like a frying pan. There were rows of holes on the front and a black conical tower at the top. The 2 men were oblivious to the presence of Oscar until Gabriella, out of fright, screamed for her father. The men, alarmed at their presence, immediately ran back to the craft. Then the holes in the ships began to light up, running from green to red. There was a whistling sound to the craft, and as it rose up to the sky slowly, there were flames surrounding it. It leveled with the horizon facing northwards before disappearing in an instant. Oscar was afraid for his life and his family after what they saw. He knew the Soviet military often restricted movements or arrested those who got too close to secret military activities. Because of the fear for their safety, Oscar took his family and did everything he could to move them to West Germany. And it wasn't until he moved there that he openly shared his experience. Later on, after talking about it, other people in the area said they saw what they thought was a comet. A shepherd declared he thought he saw a comet moving away from a low altitude from the height where Linke stood. Even Linke himself doubted what his eyes saw. After he provided testimony to a judge, he added that after the object disappeared, he headed to where he saw it and found a circular opening on the ground. It was freshly dug and it was in the same shape as the conical tower he saw on the craft. That's when he realized that what he witnessed wasn't something he had dreamt. This encounter remains a mystery, and it's believed the Soviet military also investigated the report when it was released. Number 4. China Sightings, 1979. You would think that being a United States government program, the CIA would focus on sightings in the U.S., but as it turns out, they're deeply interested in what's happening in other countries as well. Another declassified document records sightings of UFOs recorded in China during 1979. Most of what's included in this document are taken from first-hand information from local reporters. It turns out that year, several reports were received of unusual crafts flying over Chinese skies. On September 24, 1979, a report came in from a teacher at a supplemental school in Tianjin. At around 7 p.m., the witness was hanging out in their courtyard when he noticed something flying across the sky going from the east to west. It was shining a white light, and the center was described as being a saucer with a revolving fixed point. According to the witness, once they saw it, they rushed through the rooftop to catch a better glimpse, but after just a minute, the craft disappeared. Later on, there was talk the craft had landed somewhere and some people saw it. The rumor amongst the local people was that it was a new weapon made by the Japanese. Another report was recorded on September 25th, and this time another witness said he was taking a walk near the main entrance of his dormitory. When he looked up to the sky, a lighted wheel revolved in a clockwise direction. He called for his friends in the school, but by this time, the lighted wheel was moving forward relatively fast. It emitted a yellow beam and there was no sound. There was another report taken on September 29th. In this occurrence, the witness said the sky was dark blue and it was cloudless. They looked to the west and saw a globe-shaped craft that looked like a fireball. It was heading towards the southeast, and the unusual object was described as flying at even speed, just a little faster than a plane, but not as fast as a meteorite. It didn't stop or increase in altitude. It was seen flying for a minute before it suddenly disappeared. Recordings of the sightings continued that year. There were a few reports noted in October. Many of them described the object as a misty cloud moving at a steady speed. It's also been described as shiny or semi-transparent. All of these sightings were recorded by the CIA. Each one was kept track of and recorded as a way to make sure they were familiar with reported sightings of UFOs in China. Number 3. Light phenomena. Tashkent in Uzbekistan has seen its fair share of unusual lights. The earliest one recorded and kept by the CIA was reported to have occurred between May and September of 1947. During this time, at least 3 light phenomena were seen at 5-minute intervals in the skies over Tashkent. They were seen almost every night between 9 and 10 p.m., heading in a north to south direction. This wasn't the only thing seen in the area as well. There was a dark red fireball, and it was seen running in a long trajectory, developing a trail of fire in the process. During its apex point, the unusual light was bright red and seen changing color from pale green to white. Nothing else was seen. No noises or detonations were recorded at that time either. Other UFO sightings were recorded in more recent times. A witness in 1988 said he saw one while he was at home. It was nearly midnight, and he noted the sky was covered in clouds with a strong wind blowing. Then, out of nowhere, the wind stopped blowing, and a bright oval yellow object appeared in the sky. This object stood for close to 5 seconds before disappearing in a blink. More recent UFO sightings also involve recurring strange lights seen either early in the morning or at night in Uzbekistan. The fact that similar sightings are still seen even today makes one wonder whether these UFOs are man-made or truly from out of this world. Number 2. Survey at the uranium mines. It was 1915 when Robert Sharp first found a large uranium vein in a mine in the town of Shinkalobe, Congo. Thanks to the massive vein, a man named Edgar Singer managed to obtain 4,200 tons of uranium. The vein wasn't just impressive in size and scope, but the quality was also unique. The element was stockpiled by the United States and then used in developing the atomic bomb during the peak of the Second World War. No other uranium mine of that high quality has ever been found in the world since. With the unusual mine, the CIA noted that on August 16, 1952, people in the area reported seeing 2 fiery disks flying over it. According to witnesses, these disks glided in elegant curves as if they were inspecting something. They continued changing positions over time. From below, their shape changed from that of an oval to a saucer-like shape to even just lines. They were seen for 10 to 12 minutes before they suddenly stopped in one spot, hissed and buzzed, and then took off in a unique zigzag pattern. A man, Commander Pierre, who was at the nearby Elizabethville airstrip, was alerted about the presence of the unusual disks. He raced his fighter plane to the skies and launched a pursuit. Pierre managed to get close to the craft, as close as 120 meters, and described it as being about 12 to 15 meters in diameter. It had a disc-like shape with an aluminum color. He described the inner core as being fixed, while the outer rim was spinning and had flames coming from it. From the moment he saw the craft up close, he realized he was likely not looking at a secret aircraft, since it could easily travel horizontally and vertically in seconds. What's more, the elevation changed from 800 to 1,000 meters in just a second or two. He also observed that at one point the craft dropped down to just 60 feet above the tree line in seconds. Pierre realized the craft was likely operated remotely by something or someone, because the incredible shift in G-forces would be devastating to a pilot. After observing the UFO for about 15 minutes, it ended with the craft bolting immediately with a loud piercing noise. It's estimated it sped off at 1,500 miles per hour and was gone instantly. Despite witness testimony and how striking the encounter was, no one knows what the craft was or where it came from. Number 1. Sightings over the Iberian skies. Not only was the CIA interested in UFOs and flying crafts seen over the U.S., but they were especially vigilant in looking for sightings over the Iberian skies. A declassified document shows they religiously paid attention to sightings reported in Spain, Greece, as well as North Africa. One declassified file reported that in July of 1953, several witnesses saw a luminous circular object with red reflecting lights looking like a jet plane. It was silently flying northwest. A village in the area reported seeing the same object in the sky for a good amount of time as well, before it disappeared, moving westward. There was also a report dating to May 22nd of 1952. The witness was a journalist, Valentin Garcia. While heading out of his newsroom, he looked up and saw something unusual in the sky. He said he saw a strange object flying at high speeds from the Pratt airport. The object left behind a large plume of smoke as it flew 2,000 meters over the ground. He noted, unlike other sightings of UFOs, this craft didn't have flashing lights, and it wasn't spinning on its axis. It wasn't just the reporter who saw the craft either, but his colleagues from the office also saw the smoke in the sky, although they couldn't see the craft. Another detail noted that once the craft reached Badalona, it stopped spitting out smoke and disappeared for a few seconds. When it reappeared, it was kilometers away from where it was and resumed spitting out smoke. Others also called in reporting seeing the craft and the smoke it produced. Perhaps the most curious thing is that this flying craft was said to have been photographed. Although when the CIA released the documents, there was no photo found, so it's likely they've kept the image classified. The picture was said to have been taken by a man named Francisco Adreo and looked like a diagonal stripe. The sightings didn't stop there either. Several more were recorded during 1953, particularly in September, when townspeople in Casablanca at the French Morocco reported hearing a loud, thunderous noise at night on the evening of September 2nd. The following day, 2 shepherds saw a flying craft with bright colors flying off at great speed. What all these sightings over the Iberian skies were, no one knows for sure to this day. So there were 5 declassified CIA documents proving UFOs are real. All these sightings are unusual, and the CIA says many of those reported in earlier times were likely US or other spy planes from other countries, simply mistaken to be extraterrestrial crafts. But they also say that many of the items in their collected reports remain unidentified. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. We have new videos every Wednesday and Saturday that we know you want to check out. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.